Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. Today's a giant day because last June I led you astray and I told you that Julian Assange was not in that embassy. And I wasn't the only one. Just about everybody who covered QAnon said that Julian Assange was not in that embassy any longer. Now, the confusing part for me was that there's windows in this embassy. So, for the last year, I've been saying he's not in there. He's not in the embassy. How could he be? We were told, I think December of 2017 on the Q boards that he had been extracted. And then there was some fake news going around about a guy being on beach. Some of you may have seen it. If you've been tracking Q for, a year, you remember this. We all do. I remember it very clearly because I pumped everybody up around the trip code reveal last year to keep everybody interested. Because I literally thought that Assange would be released. He never was released, and here we are. This is on Reuters, RT. Just remember, folks, RT is funded in whole or in part by the Russian government, with a link to Wikipedia. So let's watch him. It's kind of embarrassing. It's humiliating the way they pulled him out of here, too. He's not walking. They are literally carrying him. Look, and he's saying, resist, resist, UK, resist. They went into that embassy and took him against his will and put him in a van. They arrested him. It's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing humiliation on worldwide news. It's a big deal. I'm embarrassed for this moment, I think he deserved better. He probably should have walked out, but he's also probably like, look, you can take me against my will, but I'm not willingly going to go. I've been holed up in here for 7 years because I don't want to get extradited. All right, so here it is. Here is the paperwork. WikiLeaks founder charged in computer hacking conspiracy. Notice the date. See that? The exact same date that he gets pulled out of this embassy, we get the Department of Justice. So it says Julian P. Assange, 47, the founder of WikiLeaks, was arrested today in the United Kingdom pursuant to the U.S.-UK extradition treaty in connection with a federal charge of conspiracy to commit computer intrusion for agreeing to break a password to a classified U.S. government computer. The indictment alleges that in March 2010, Assange engaged in a conspiracy with Chelsea Manning, Bradley Manning, okay? His name is Bradley Manning. It is a XY human being, okay? Bradley Manning. It's not, and he wasn't named Chelsea at the time, okay? At the time of March 20th, his name was Bradley. So it should be Bradley Manning in here. Anyway, Assange engaged with a conspiracy with Bradley Manning, a former intelligence analyst in the U.S. Army, to assist Manning in cracking a password stored on U.S. Department of Defense computers connected to the Secure Internet Protocol network. During the conspiracy, Manning and Assange engaged in real-time discussions regarding Manning's transmission of classified records to Assange. The discussions also reflect Assange actively encouraging Manning to provide more information. During an exchange, Manning told Assange that, quote, after this upload, that's all I really have got left, to which Assange replied, curious eyes never run dry in my experience. So if you go off of this, it looks like Assange was providing material support to somebody who has now served a whole lot of time in prison and only got out by chopping off their dick and becoming a woman. Also, remember this. Chelsea Manning, so Bradley Manning post-op, has tried to commit suicide many, many times. I think I remember him, her, standing on a ledge outside of a really tall New York hotel trying to get attention or help, one or the other. All right, so that was all the bad news. Here's the good news. WikiLeaks says that the Senate panel requested Assange testimony for the Russia probe. Okay, now what just happened yesterday? William Barr yesterday said there was no collusion among the Trump administration with the Russians, but there was a whole lot of spying happening illegally by the Obama White House. So that just happened. So they just wrapped up the Russia probe last week. Excuse me. They just wrapped it up, and here you go. Here you got it. And so I've been waiting for this. I just assumed that eventually Assange was going to get brought in front of some sort of U.S. government institution. He was going to start talking. I thought that he'd been offered a deal. The guy from InfoWars, who Trump used to be friends with, who helped him run with a transsexual back in the 90s on the Reform Party. Forget his name. The Nixon guy. Got the tattoo of Nixon on the back. Totally escapes me. The dirty trickster, Roger Stone. So Roger Stone is supposedly involved in all this stuff. And then we got, who's the big fat worm-looking guy? Jabba the Hutt. You know who I'm talking about. Also on InfoWars, Dr. Jerome Corsi. So these people have all kind of been swirling. I think now that we're going to get Assange in the media, there will be a focused effort on a lot of QAnon people to go back and look at the InfoWars connections, Roger Stone's connections, and everything that transpired with Wikileaks to get us here. Now, I want to introduce this real quick, too, because it kind of ties in. So this is last year, excuse me. So last year there was this thing happening on the Q board where they were talking about April showers. So we're going to go look at the Q board here in a second, but I want to get these in because these memes correspond with the same timeline, okay, April 11th. And they're about Alan Dershowitz, who I've covered. He's the guy that took the pictures of Podesta, Bill Clinton, and the rest of them. The guy who owns the Standard Hotel, Lazar something, he's also in the pool in a different frame shot on the left. They're on the edge of that pool out in the Caribbean or whatever. Alan Dershowitz, I believe, is the one who took that picture. So his name got brought up. And this guy says that him getting posted to the Q board on Q post 1132 had to do with him getting freedom from the deep state blackmail and threats. My problem with that is Alan Dershowitz is the one who got him that deal. Okay, Jeffrey Epstein got that deal because of Alan Dershowitz. And Alan Dershowitz is the youngest legal professor, tenured legal professor in Harvard history. You think that guy's not already part of the deep state? You think that Jeffrey Epstein just happened to pick him to get him the most heinous sex offender deal in U.S. history, where the FBI and the government hid what was happening from the victims so they could push this deal through. Epstein didn't even have to live in prison, man. I mean, Epstein operated from his office and just checked back into prison and go to sleep. Alan Dershowitz made that happen. And I know that we're talking about Assange here, but I think that a lot of the stuff lines up together. And maybe they're disconnected. Maybe Assange doesn't have anything to do with the Lolita Express and the Epstein pedophile island. Maybe. But think about everything else that Assange has got his hands on. Bradley Manning leak. Seth Rich. The stuff that started WikiLeaks. The leaks drops of that helicopter shooting that guy with a camera. I mean, Assange got his hands on everything. So to think that he doesn't know about this and doesn't have some sort of information on this, I think that's kind of suspect. It says, "Thank you, Alan. Welcome aboard. Freedom." Well, I don't know if if they're saying welcome aboard the team. They might be saying Alan Dershowitz, was on the Lolita Express, and you guys need to go look through the little black book. He's on there. He flew on it. He didn't fly to Haiti, though, or the island Little St. James. He flew to, D.C. airport or something from Newark, New Jersey. All right, now slip this in here real quick. Someone picked out a Q proof or a Q lead based on this H code, and this is recently. This is from last week. So Trump had a tweet April 1st, and he left out the H, right? And if you look over here, there's a tweet from the U.S. Army that says, "What is a U.S. Army Code H demolition? Let this video by Sergeant Lindsey Williams show you." Then, if you look back a year ago on April 3rd, 2018, there's a post that just says H. So there was a 1 year delay plus 2 days. Or sorry, minus 2 days. So 1 year minus 2 days. That's how we got this Q proof right here. So let's go look at it real quick. Here's that post. That's post number 1000, and there's that missing H. So there it is. And the H corresponds to this post from Q, who he reposted himself, and it says, "Why is Epstein spending almost $30 million to bury the tunnels underneath his island?" Phones are allowed in. These people are stupid. So we know that. Here's the island. It's got the 4 points, right? 4 cardinal directions. I wanted to slip this in here because I forget that Q used to post memes like this. So, whenever I come across stuff like this from back in the early board before we went QAnon, over the last 6 months, this makes me feel a lot better. It keeps me involved. You know what I'm saying? I also want to slide this in here. I've covered this before, but people are now saying that P equals C. The chair, this has to do with the business council. And the chair of the business council is just happens to be the CEO of Amazon. Okay, so here we are. This is April 10th, 2019. This is yesterday. So yesterday we got this panic, and this was because of the collusion investigation being wrapped up by William Barr, him getting ready to drop his stuff. Donald Trump said the word treason, so it looks like they're ramping up. I've had my faith shaken a little bit, but I'm not ready to get off the train. There's nowhere else to go. I want Trump to be real, and I'm really hoping that we can get Kushner out of the White House soon. I think without him chewing the president's ear, we get more stuff that we want. All right, but I was talking about this H thing, right? Well, if you look at what just happened, if you go back to April 11, 2018, which was today, 1 year ago, there's the H again. A clean house is very important. So if you remember, FISA brings down the house. And now we got, poor Julian Assange getting pulled out of this embassy. Like I said, I didn't think he was in there anymore. I thought he was sipping mimosas on a beach for the last year. I would have done more to help this guy out if I thought that he was in this embassy. I would have done something more to help. I don't know what I could do, but I would have tried. That's all I'm saying. All right. So one thing I can't find is there was a Q post that had to do with April 21, 1 something. There was these date ranges. I haven't lined up the 21 thing yet. I don't know if that was just a fear factor kind of thing for the deep state. But last year there was a meme happening on the board, and it was called April Showers. Now, on the 14th, they gave us a proof, and they said, when we say authorization B-19-2, we authorize 2 Lancer bombers to launch 19 missiles. And the difference between these days was 6, I think. So 6 days separated the Q post from the proof. And then the post says, expand your thinking, the date versus the actual. Iran's next. Trust the plan. April showers. Showers. Do you believe in coincidences? So he's saying bombs here. Missiles. They're dropping bombs. And that's what this Julian Assange thing is going to do. Because if they're going to bring him in front of a congressional testimony, and he's going to tell people where that Seth Rich stuff came from. And then you get into the Awan brothers and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and what's happening in Broward County and the Chabad organization. I've never talked about the Chabad organization. It's an Israeli Mossad organization that operates inside the United States as a religious organization, very similar to the Muslim Brotherhood. So I want to get these in here. This is the list. Here's a Donald Trump tweet. How often does POTUS RT weekly address? Retweet. RT. Today. Here's some more stuff about Assange. Talking about the Mad Hatter. Go type in April showers on the Q board. You get 7 posts. There's gaps in the dates. They talk about Julian Assange and Seth Rich.